Earliest childhood memory.
Earliest childhood memory, probably you dressing me up in fucking girls' clothes. You should have brought the photo to fucking show the camera. Putting makeup on me and sent...
dying for a sister. I was so gutted you were a boy.
Fucking putting makeup on me and sending me downstairs.
I can remember Mum being pregnant with you, and everyone wanted a girl. Dad wanted a girl.
No, he didn't.
He did.
That's bollocks.
It's not, honest
That's
to God.
absolute rubbish.
He wanted a girl. Mum wanted a girl. I wanted a girl. And then we got Rodri. And then I told everyone your name was Jacob because obviously Rodri's horrific.
Yeah.
But they'd already registered you.
Yeah, so it was actually you, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. That
I don't know where the
changed
name
my... It's not that I don't
from.
like the name Rodri. It's people...
I think you're on your own there.
Is that people are, obviously it's on my passport, so when people see my driving license and they see my passport, they're like, "Oh, your name's Rodri. Why don't people call you Rodri?" And it's not because I don't like the name. It's a classic Welsh name. It's the fact that my name was changed 2 weeks after I was born.
Yeah.
So I'm not. Do you know what I mean?
You can't associate.
I can't. Yeah, I can't.
You wouldn't associate.
I can't associate myself with the names. It feels strange.
It does. Yeah. No.
So because I've always been a Jacob. So
apart from me dressing you up, you wouldn't remember anything of the cottage because we moved out of the cottage when you was, I think, 6 months old.
Yeah, I can't. No, I was 3. I think 2 or 3. I think.
So
I can't remember anything.
I remember the cottage, not in loads of detail, but what you got to remember at the cottage was this little white cottage in the South Wales valleys, surrounded by 3 motorways, wasn't there?
Yeah.
And that was such a shame.
Still drive past it now sometimes when I go home. It's a lovely little cottage.
And Mum and Dad worked so hard. So Dad was made redundant while we lived in that cottage, and he worked down the factories, and then Mum was still teaching, and then that's when he got a job then on the railway.
Yeah.
Dad is like probably, I reckon, the cleverest man in the world.
Yeah.
He really is. He could do it with his bare hands, everything and anything.
He could build a house from scratch,
scratch. He could build a mansion from scratch. He can do absolutely anything and everything. And he is completely self-taught.
Yeah.
He's so clever in every single way possible, and so witty as well. My earliest memories are just laughing at Dad constantly because he's just so funny. Do you remember when you were in Liverpool, because the picture of you've got your uniform on, remember you wouldn't eat your dinner, or you were fussing about eating dinner or food or something, which is totally not like you now. You'll eat anything now. But you remember, because you wouldn't eat your beans. Do you remember this?
Like that.
He came behind you, he grabbed your hand and he put it in the beans like this. He got your ass and put it in the beans like this. And me and Mama wet ourselves laughing. And then he got it and he put the beans all on your face.
Because I wouldn't eat them.
Because you wouldn't eat your beans. And he screwed like this in the beans and it's all over your face. And we were crying and laughing. You don't remember that, do you?
No, the earliest memory I've got of him is looking like Van Helsing. With his long hair.
He used to pick me up from school in the Saab. So
we'll have to get some photos when we put the clips out. We're gonna have to screenshot, put some photos into the video.
Dad thought he was the dog's bollocks, didn't he?
Yeah, well they used to call him that on the railway, didn't they? They used to go, "Oh, Van Helsing's on the phone." Oh, Van Helsing is chirping up again.
They used to call Dad. I tell you what, they used to call Dad in work Splinter. He got right into this.
Yeah.
Because he loves us, obviously, and he used to make our life brilliant, but no one else. Yeah. So remember, he used to pick me up from school, secondary school this was now, mind, in a convertible Saab with his long hair and a woolly hat.
Oh,
that's
Saab.
Oh, I loved that Saab. He loved it though.
I know.
It was as long as a blinking London bus.
Yeah, I remember he used to go through Blackwood on a Thursday and driving 10 mile an hour to wind up all the racer boys. I can remember you in a front seat. Dad, stop it.
I ain't moving any faster. I know, he's so funny, so witty, and worked incredibly hard.
Yeah, yeah.
And to think about it, like, I know it's a generational thing, but qualifications just weren't needed back then, were they?
No.
And so good job, because he ain't got any. But to work his way then from working on the railway to a driver to then going corporate and retiring as the position that he was in is just testament to how clever he was.
He was quite lucky, really, because obviously when we were born and he was working in the factory and he went for that job on the railway, I think they took on 150 applicants for 3 jobs, and Dad came fourth.
Oh, never.
Dad came fourth, and they told him in the interview, or they told him after the interview when he had feedback, he came fourth, and then 2 weeks later they rang him back and they said, "Oh, the guy who we had in third position, something's happened with him. Do you want the job?"
Never. I didn't know that.
Yeah. If you ask him about it, he'll tell you about it, and then he took the job on. So it's quite lucky, really.
That is really lucky, because then what's sort of dominoed through life, and I am a firm believer, you know, everything happens for a certain reason, because Dad losing his job down the factory and being redundant, and then getting the job on the railway, and then leading then to the position that he was in when he was able to retire, then with his guidance and the money that he then supported us with, and everything that we've been able to do is because of Mum and Dad.
Yeah, it was just the amount of confidence they installed in us that we were quite lucky with when we...
I think they've installed sort of a misplaced confidence that we can do absolutely anything we want.
A delusional sort of confidence.
We do think that we can do anything,
but you
with no experience.
Yeah, but I think to be sort of successful, and you have to have a bit of sort of delusion.
Yeah. And that part comes, so Dad's got, you know, the ethic, the drive, the work, and the wit, and the wisdom. Mum has just got this aura of complete kindness. Like, everything is absolutely fine.
She can't see the bad in anyone, can she?
Can't see the bad in anyone, and especially us. And it was all about, you can do and be whatever you want to be.
Yeah.
And I'll write your CV for you.
I'll do your coursework and I'll write your CV. But like, even...
I don't think we can tell people that my mum did Jacob's coursework.
Yeah, I know, she did all my English coursework. And she was my teacher.
And did you pass?
Yeah, I got a C.
So Mum was a teacher at our school, and she was very, very, which was lucky for us, very well loved and very well liked. And actually one of her past pupils even messaged me on Instagram the other day to say they bumped into her down in Blackwood, and how lovely it was to see her.
Yeah.
She was very much loved as a teacher, very, very well liked, and which was really lucky. And it was great while I was there, because I called her Mrs. Shaw.
I didn't. I called her fucking Mum.
Down the corridors.
Yeah. Mum.
No, I was very polite, and I was a bit of a swot, wasn't I? A bit of a...
Yeah, you were a different student to me when you...
I know, and I think as close as we are now in our 30s, growing up, we were very different.
Yeah. But I think 6 years apart is quite a lot. And obviously being brother and sister rather than sister and sister and brother and brother. But yeah, 6 years is quite a lot. I mean...
It is quite a lot, yeah.
So there's obviously going to be the disparity. But yeah, I mean, like, I think like even back to like 24, 25 now, when I was, you know, I didn't really leave school with anything. I can remember being 24, 25. I'd just done all the travelling. I'd done 3 seasons in Ibiza, and I think it was April. And I said to Dad, Dad, I don't know what I want to do. Do you know, I've got no qualifications. I've got no direction in life. And he went, "Oh, Jake, you're only 25. Go and do another season in Ibiza." All right then. Booked a flight the next day and left. And it was just that sort of... It was Mum and Dad, they never put any pressure on me.
Never, ever.
They always said, do what you want to do, live how you want to live. It was never, "Oh, Jake, you've done 4 seasons in Ibiza now.
Settle down.
You've travelled. It's about time now." And the thing is, I was giving myself such a hard time about it after a couple of seasons. I was like, oh, what am I going to do in life? I've got no direction. Where am I going to go? I was giving myself a hard time about it. And what would have been even more difficult is if the people around me, my family, were giving me even more of a hard time.
Yeah.
And rather than give me a hard time, Dad went, oh, go back and do another season. And I'd be,
Yeah.
I would, because your age. And and I look back at that and I think, oh, now, do you know, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So
it's like whatever you decide to do, they'll completely support you. But I had a very different experience. See, I think this conversation has sort of opened up quite a wedge in how we were both brought up. Being the eldest is different. Being a girl is different.
Yeah.
And I never had that opportunity to go and do whatever I wanted to do.
I know, but you did settle down quite young, didn't you? Obviously, I had Harry quite young.
So I had Harry at 20.
Yeah.
I left home at 16.
Yeah, which was very brave.
Stupid, I think, maybe, rather than brave.
Do you think if you didn't have Harry, you would have come back to Wales?
No, but I don't think I'd be in Birmingham either.
Mm.
I don't think I'd have ever come. I might have come back. I don't know if I'd have settled in Wales though.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd have settled in Wales.
But everything was obviously based around Harry, wasn't it, from a young age?
Everything was based around Harry, and where Dad told you to go and do what you wanted to do, Dad always told me to do what was always best for Harry. And I could have, after, Harry's dad and I separated when Harry was only 18 months old, and I was only...
Was it that? I thought Harry was a few years old.
18 months, 2 years old, and I wanted to come back to Wales, and Dad said categorically, no way, you coming back. Absolutely categorically, no way. Now we can look at that two ways, can't we?
Yeah, I can still remember. I can remember the morning. I can remember what bedroom I was in the house. I can remember him walking in. It was a couple of days before we went to Spain on holidays when Sophie's pregnant. I think I was in year 10 at the time. But yeah, I just remember them little things, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you say?
Great. It was great. Fantastic. I was excited.
I can't... Yeah, I mean, it was so long ago now. Look at Harry now, he's 17.
I know, I was sat in the car with him yesterday when he was driving, and I took a little video. I can remember yesterday holding you in my arms.
But it's having Harry, I think, that has also driven our successes to date to where we are now. So if you think about like Dad's wisdom and his wit and his encouragement and his work ethic, Mum's kindness and supportive nature, and like she's so incredibly kind, and she is kind to absolutely everyone, and that stems from like Nana Rose and sort of the strong Welsh stock that we're from, and that community spirit and
of course.
all of that's part of just being from the South Wales Valleys. I think is really important.
Yeah, it's communities, isn't it?
Community.
Everybody knows everyone, and when you go through tough times, people pull together, and it's...
I love listening to Mum and Dad's stories of growing up in the Welsh Valleys.
I know. They all used to share a bath, didn't they?
They shared a bath. Dad used to shovel in all the coal for everybody. Everyone was down the mines. Granshire, the stories of Granshire Shaw and Granshire Rose, and the Mum and Dad are excellent storytellers. But didn't you buy Mum that book a few years ago and you wanted her to write down all the stories?
Yeah, so I think I bought it for, I can't remember if it was for her birthday or Mother's Day, but it was just a book where she could tell her whole story about life, really. And it's fantastic. She's put some photos in there.
Yeah.
So it'll be nice to look back at that.
Yeah, no, she is. So I do think your parents are the biggest driver, and sort of, you can look at your network and your network's net worth and all that jibber jabber, and the people that you can connect to. But I also think that your grounding and your immediate family are your biggest fans and supporters, and that's why our business works so well. Yeah. Because we're a family business.
Yeah.
And how many times do we tell each other to back off?
You're going to go when they always say, don't they, like you shouldn't go into business with your family or your friends, but I think we've been quite lucky. Obviously you're going to have your bickers and stuff like that.
And that's because we never take anything to heart.
No.
We can tell each other literally, like, do you know people who say, oh, I've fallen out with my mum? Could you imagine falling out with my mum?
I know. I can't imagine it. Like, it's...
We could never fall out with our parents.
I know.
And we can say anything to them, and they could say anything to us. I don't think we've even apologised to each other.
No, I know.
I think we've even had to say sorry. And yeah, we do bicker and we tell each other off. But never fallen out. I've never thought, oh, I couldn't go speak to you. Do you remember when we were younger, your opera voice?
Yeah, I'd give you a blast now,
Oh,
but
go
no,
on.
I'm not doing it now. Fuck that. People
When
run a mile.
Jacob was
No,
younger.
I don't think anybody will invest in us once they hear that.
When Jacob was younger, he used to have. You've got a great singing voice. If he wouldn't
A
have
Welsh, every Welsh person's got a great singing voice.
they think.
Yeah, they think I.
It was lovely. He used to do this opera voice, and I remember laughing. I remember all of us laughing, and that's again part of the business. I think is you got to see the best and the funny side in everything. You got to be able to laugh at yourself. You got to be able to find the best in a bad situation.
And you've got to be able to look like a bit of an idiot, haven't you? Sometimes.
And that's what we've learned, isn't it? That you've got to be able to look a bit of an idiot. Yeah. So talking about, you went away and did like your Ibiza and you did loads of traveling, and then I needed what I've always been desperate to do on the back of everything we've just talked about is make sure that mum and dad are really proud of me.
Yeah.
That's like a massive drive in everything I do, that I like to tell mum and dad that about my successes and what I've been able to achieve. And I think becoming a teacher was quite a large part of that.
Yeah.
So I remember being in my office job, which was a good job, and it paid particularly well.
It was for the council, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I can remember.
That's
I remember
right.
dropping you off. Was it? Yeah, dropping Star City.
Just down Fort Dunlop.
Yeah, Fort Dunlop. Sorry, yeah, I get a little bit confused.
And so I trained to be a teacher for a couple of years, and then dropped out when I had Harry, and never sort of told the university that I wasn't going.
Yeah.
And then I went for a job in my position with the council as a trainer to like train people on how to do it.
Yeah.
I didn't get it. And then I went home that day after not getting the job, and I had a letter from the university saying, are you coming back to finish your degree? You've got like 2 placements and a dissertation. So you can come back in September, or you can take the credits that you've got from what you already done and just like draw a line under it.
Yeah.
So I just didn't get this job, and I didn't really know what to do. And I went into work the next day, and you know when you go, I don't know if you've ever worked in an office job before, or like being in a position where you have to type in your password, and if you get it wrong, you've got to call IT.
Yeah. Actually, I have vague memories of doing 1 or 2 office jobs after leaving school.
So I always used to get my password wrong. My big sausage fingers got in the way. So I rang up IT and I said, Sophie again, I've locked myself out. And they go, oh, no worries, Sophie, have you got a pen and paper and I'll give you your new password? I go, yeah, go on, no problem. And it's usually like capital A, exclamation mark.
Yeah, one of them gibberish
dash, pound sign, whatever. And I said, got a pen? I said, yeah. He said, all right, capital T, EACHER, 2015. Your new password is teacher 2015.
Strange, isn't it?
I handed my notice in that day.
Did you?
Yeah.
That's mad. I didn't know that.
That's mental, innit?
Yeah, bonkers.
That I was deliberating whether or not to become a teacher in 2015.
And
literally the password was
bonkers.
teacher 2015. So I wrote my notice on an email, I sent it to my manager. And then me and Harry moved out of our fairly nice big house at the top of Coleshill into that tiny, weedy little cottage in Curdworth.
Yeah.
It was
nice though. I can remember it.
Yeah, it was tiny.
It had a lot of character, but it was tiny, wasn't it?
Oh, the cupboards were hanging off, the floorboards were creaky, and not even creaky. You could feel the wind every time there was a strong wind outside. It comes through the floorboards.
Yeah.
But Mum and Dad helped, and they painted all the inside. We ripped up the carpet, and we shouldn't have, but we didn't care. And I moved into there, and that was hard. Like training to teach. Harry was 5.
Yeah.
Lois's age, Emmy's age.
Yeah.
Harry was 5. We didn't really have much money. I drove like the worst cars, like the shittest cars. Do you know the massive junction in Birmingham? I don't know if you know it. When you come out towards Edgbaston, and you got the McDonald's there, and you got like an Opal building on the side there, student building.
I think so.
Like they're enormous, like 6-way traffic lights. Absolutely enormous junction. I had this shitty Corsa, and the clutch was. You had to get it bang on a biting point before you'd like move, and it was just about working. This white rusty Corsa stopped right in the middle of my way to uni one day.
Oh, in the morning.
In the morning, rush hour traffic. right in the middle of these massive city centre crossroads. And I remember thinking, I think you can't say I felt really low at that
you
point,
wanted
but
the girl to swallow you up, didn't
I
you?
felt really sorry for myself.
Yeah.
While I was sat in the middle of
Yeah.
beep beep, like all these cars like this, and I think some kind soul sort of helped me push the car to the side, and I was late for my lecture and stuff. But then not long after that, they placed me in a school to finish off my experience, and I went into the school and they introduced me to all the teachers, and the head teacher said, "This is Sophie. She's going to be training for 6 weeks with us." And all the teachers said hello, and then the teacher came over and said, "Oh, yeah, I'm Luke." And it was and it's Luke.
It was Luke, was it? Ever.
Yeah.
Bonkers.
And it was Luke. Yeah.
The rest is history.
And the rest is history. I remember going to watch him, and now Luke, of course, is my husband.
Didn't he have a girlfriend at the time, or wasn't he?
I think he was seeing someone.
Yeah.
I remember being in the staff room and he was telling someone else really, really loudly how he went on a really bad date.
I thought you were in the background cheering.
Smirking, more like, oh, what was this idiot talking about his...
Nah, we're so lucky to have Luke.
Oh, we're so lucky to have Luke.
It's such an analytic mindset to the business. I don't think we wouldn't cope without him, would we?
We wouldn't cope without him in so many ways. He's a logical thinker. He's rational.
And
we aren't rational.
No, we're not.
That illusion
that we
have.
He blew his lid yesterday. That's the first time I've ever seen him shout like that.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's funny. Tired, being on holiday.
But he did really shout.
He does. He can find situations quite overwhelming. He's very good at seeing when I'm overwhelmed and going, "I'll take it from you." We're never like he did lose his shit yesterday because of a situation with a key. But we're never both losing our shit at the same time.
Yeah, because it would be difficult then, wouldn't it? I suppose that's the same as marriage, isn't it? When you've only got 20% to give, you need the other person to give the 80%, or when they've only got 20%, you need to give the 80% and work it out between you.
Is 80 or 20
It's a good
100?
release. Yeah, 80 and 20 is...
All right.
You know.
Running on 90% between us.
But we're so lucky to have him.
He's so lucky to have him. Everything about him is reasoning, is logic, is the fact he slows us down.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah.
We are, like we said earlier, like mum and dad are giving us this false sense of belief that we could be anything we wanted and we can do it like tomorrow, where Luke's like, hang on, let's take a couple of steps back and let's like analyse this situation and move through it. And that sort of mindset complements us perfectly.
Yeah.
It's exactly what the business needed.
And just with the whole spreadsheet situation and the expenses, can you imagine us two trying to do that?
I don't even know my times tables.
We'd have definitely been in a loss for the last 2 years.
We would have been definitely in a loss.
So just him obviously being a maths teacher and being that
he's got that logical, but he's got the patience as well with numbers, and we just haven't. You and technology.
No, I know.
Jesus
I know.
Christ.
But I'm an engineer by trade and I work with my hands, but like I can't.
You can't I can feel it, like when we're talking to like the web designer and we're talking to anyone, like we're running the ads at the moment and we're trying to like sort out the meta ads and stuff, and I can see in the group chat you talking about setting those up. I can feel the frustration you are feeling and you want to go, and credit to you don't give up, but I'm the same though when it comes to technology. Unless it's like dead simple, I find it mind-blowing.
Well, that's the thing, see, you get the business to a point where you can outsource stuff like that because it's just too time-consuming and it's not where our skill sets lie, is it?
No, it's not.
It's not, but we can't operate like that.
And we don't want to either.
No.
And that's quite a privileged position to be in, where we can say, look, I don't want to have anything to do actually with...
Editing videos.
And
stuff like that.
I can't think of anything worse.
No, I know.
Honestly, I couldn't think of anything worse than sitting there editing videos, adding captions.
Yeah.
I could not at all.
And Adam's. I mean, I think we're working quite hard for.
Yeah, we do. What you do.
Yeah, for and same with Jules as well. We got a good little team of us now.
I know we have got a good little team actually. Jules has helped us quite a lot, and So Jules is somebody that Jake's known for many years, an old friend of Jacob's, and for not much money really, or, you know, we do pay him, but
I think with Jules, what it was is he is so interested in the business and the strategy and in property in general. He wanted to be a number two. He wanted to come in and he wanted to, obviously he's getting paid, but he's more interested in learning.
yeah,
So he's on a bit of a mentorship himself, because he at one point he wanted to set up a few essays. He wanted to do a bit of sourcing, and he just showed interest from the start. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it gives him the opportunity to earn a little money, but also be a number two. And the thing is, he can grow with us, can't he?
yeah, you can, yeah.
So in a year or two's time, if we want to be completely hands off, or we just want sort of like a managing director or something like that, and he's grown with us for 2 years, and if he's got 2 years experience, it's invaluable, isn't it?
It is invaluable.
So he would be able to look over the business in 2 years, and we could be away, and he'd be able to, you know, delegate work to people and just know the business probably better than us.
Yeah, well, that'd be great.
And
that's
that
what
would
we
be
want.
great. So we want somebody to be able to grow with us, don't we?
Yeah, that's exactly what we want.
And he's shown interest from the start, and he's always reached out to me, and he's said, you know, good luck and congratulations, and anything I can do to help. So it's a nice, and the thing is now as well, it's nice being in a position that we are, that we can give opportunities to people.
Yeah.
And the same with Leah. I can remember walking into Leah's house after a house party last year back in London, and I can remember seeing what she did with her house, and I just felt like the world needed to know. Do you know what I mean? How good it was. And then obviously being in a position then where we were scaling the SA portfolio, and there was a bit of a missing link in terms of people were furnishing properties, but not really to the style and sort of standard that we wanted. And then thinking, I know that she wants to do that, and then being in a position where we can give her the opportunities to do that. Do you know what I mean?
Good.
Yeah, and it feels good. It feels really good. And obviously our cleaning teams as well, being able to give them work, and yeah, it's just nice to be able to be in a position where you can give back and give opportunities. Do you know what I mean?
But every single person that we work with, we couldn't be without, and like
Yeah.
we feel like we couldn't be without them.
Yeah, of
But
course.
at the same time, I hope that they would feel like they couldn't be without us either. Like you mentioned, our cleaning teams there, like the ladies that and the chaps that we work with, who really are on the front line of the business, who are really the ones that are putting the shift in, you know?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
The real
And
shift.
keeping the communication, and like, because there's things that go on in properties where they don't have to tell us.
No.
They don't have to, if they see a little hole in the wall or something, they don't have to tell us. But if there's something wrong, boom, there's a message in the WhatsApp group, and it's just them little bits of communication that, you know.
Yeah. I'm getting to the point now with the business. So we'll talk about like the journey where we go right now. But if we just sort of work backwards a little bit, we've just signed our 40th property. And I can't tell you how much I hate guests. I can't bear them. I can't stand speaking to them. I can't stand messaging them back. I find them infuriating. I find them entitled. And I find that they ask, I feel as if they don't see us as people. I don't feel like guests see me as Sophie. They see me as, which I suppose is a really difficult, we want to grow big, but they see me as a business. And you know when you have a bad experience at Nando's, it's a massive business, and you know your chicken's off, or there's a hearing, and you got absolutely no problem walking up there and saying, this is a complaint.
Yeah.
Or what we need to maintain, and what I'm quite nervous about now as we're getting bigger, you know, signing our 40th property is massive, but how do we still make people feel like Sophie's always looking after them?
Yeah. No, I think you do a good job at that, and I think people can, well, you're at 1,400 reviews, or the business at 1,400 reviews, and you're still a super host. I think being a super host over 40 properties, you know, is something to shout about.
It is something to shout about.
So I think I think the worst thing could be rather than it being Sophie, being like a corporate.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think that would. But no, I think you do. I think that was always the main concern for us, was scaling, but still doing a good job and maintaining standards as you scale.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Like, I think the problem that we've always got, the problem that I've had, is that I genuinely care significantly about a guest's stay.
Yeah, and
so when a guest messages me a bunch of like inappropriate, or I found a speck of dust here, or this wasn't to this. I find everything I take to heart.
Yeah. No,
and
I
that
know.
sort of
I know.
build up a bit of a resistance then to want to deal with too many guests, because it keeps me awake at night. 'Cause
Yeah,
I
no, I
want to do
know.
a good job.
But it's quite lucky that you think like that, because I can remember when obviously we had the Armadas and it was never a business. But I can remember obviously you had super host status when we just had the Armadas. And looking back, how much you cared about the guest experience then. It's lucky, because if you didn't care and it was just like, oh, yeah, it's a property to put on Airbnb, we don't care about reviews really, as long as it's booked up, that would have never have laid the foundations to be able to, for the rest of the business. Do you know what I mean? So I always felt that at
Yeah.
the start when we had the Armadas and it was just the one property, I can remember you always putting in the group,
But
oh, this cleaning's not up to standard. We've had this bad review, even though we'd had like 400 reviews on the property and it was at 4.9 star, even one bad experience then. But that laid the foundations to be able to scale the business and keep the standards where they needed to be.
But if we think about like the business and the business model and how that fits into our personalities so much, like my main goal in life, and it's not a massive goal, and it's not a huge goal. Like I know you said earlier, you want to drive an Aston Martin or whatever. And yeah, don't get me wrong, I'd love to have a nice car. My main goal is to have as many different experiences as possible.
Yeah.
Like for me, the girls, you, mum and dad, I want life to be full of experiences and excitement. That doesn't necessarily mean that I've got to quit work to do it. I can carry on being a teacher for as long as I want. But my point is, I want the opportunities to have experiences, not to buy material things, even though it is nice to have a nice car, it's nice to be able to have
But just
nice
to
things.
give the girls, when the girls look back in 20 years and think, oh, my childhood was just
It
full
would
of...
be lovely to go to Bali or to go to Australia for next summer or something like that. Things that I wouldn't be able to do on my wage, but experiences. But in the flip reverse side, when guests come to our properties, I want them to have the best experience.
Yeah, of course.
Because I know how much it means. Because
Yeah, of
every time
course.
we go away, we can go away to, well, where did we go? Shropshire for a couple of days last week. It was still a phenomenal experience, even though we stayed in like dormitory rooms. And I feel that with guests.
Yeah.
I want the guests to come and have a phenomenal experience, even if they're staying in a studio apartment in Solihull.
Yeah. But that, it goes back to being passionate about it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like creating spaces where you walk into, and I think we are genuinely passionate about it, aren't we?
And that empathy that I feel when guests are not having a good time stems from our childhood, where mum always made sure that everything was absolutely amazing and fine for us.
Yeah.
And we do have like an ingrained the empathy that we can feel sometimes can be quite I can feel really guilty.
Yeah.
Like I spend a lot of time feeling quite guilty, whether that's because I'm focusing on the business and not on my own children and not on the guest.
Yeah.
My teaching and not on the family. Like I'm pulled quite a lot. I wear a lot of hats and I can feel quite guilty.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but I think in sort of 10, 15 years' time, when, I think the girls will look back and they'll understand, do you know what I mean?
Well, I hope so.
Yeah, of course they will,
I
Should
hope
we,
so.
should we talk about the sort of the journey from the Armadas?
So we got into property by complete chance, right?
Yeah, it was a complete chance. So I can remember I finished traveling, and like I said, I had the conversation with Dad, didn't know what I wanted to do, and I had a little bit of savings, and I wanted to open a restaurant.
Oh my God, thank God
I
that
know,
didn't
and I don't know
happen.
why. I'm not fucking passionate about food.
Well,
I can just about make a bowl of cereal. But for some reason, I wanted to open a restaurant.
But you are passionate about eating,
Yeah, I'm passionate about eating.
but food,
Yeah.
you don't cook
I
really.
don't cook, and restaurants is one of the hardest industries to...
So what made you want to do it? But it was going to be a fitness sort of.
Yeah, it was going to be more healthy food. I think at the time there was a little bit of a craze, and there were a couple of places doing well. And I think it was just more the fact that I didn't want to blow the money.
Yeah.
I was at an
Yeah.
age where I'd done a bit of traveling, and I was like, right, I've got a little bit of money now.
And that's probably quite a similar situation to a lot of our future investors or our current investors.
Yeah.
They've got the money. They don't really know what they want to do with it, but they know they want to do something.
Yeah, and they don't want to blow it, and they want to learn something from it. But it was quite lucky, because it was Dad that put me off the idea. And it was lucky.
And he was firm off the idea.
Yeah, he was firm off the idea. He was like, you're going to be working 7 days a week. You're probably not going to be earning anything. So, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier. When your family's not on board,
Yeah.
it's more difficult, isn't it?
Yeah.
6 months later, COVID hit.
Bloody hell.
So it was one of the best decisions that I'd ever made. Obviously, I think we found out that you just got pregnant, and I was like, right, let's put it into a property just for now. Even if we sell it in future, and I get the money and I do something else with it.
So so I was pregnant. So I just had Lois, and then Lois was 3 months old, and we found out I was pregnant with Emmy. I
Yeah,
had to go back to work off maternity leave pregnant. That was funny. And again, so I've lived in Birmingham now since I was 16, and I'm 38. So well over 22 years. Is that right?
about that. Yeah.
Give or take. And Mum and Dad have never wanted to move to Birmingham, have they?
No, no.
Do you know why?
Why?
The house. Because they love their house
Yeah,
so
yeah,
much.
yeah.
And that's
it,
where
yeah.
our love of property sort of stems from. The
Is-
mum and dad don't like live in a house. They live in like a real home, don't
Yeah,
they?
yeah.
Like mum and dad's home is what? How could you even describe? It's like a palace
It's
of.
still, it's like stepping back in time,
It's
isn't
a
it? Really?
treasure trove
Yeah.
of design and style
Yeah.
and comfort and love.
Yeah.
It's not the house we grew up in, but it's the house that they renovated and made their own.
Yeah, well, I got a very sentimental attachment to it because I was in there from about the age of 12 when you had moved out then, but I spent a lot of teenage years, I suppose, there, so I've got quite a big sentimental attachment to it. But it's just
And that
it's
home,
just the feeling that you get when you walk in there, isn't
that
it?
home, and not just from us, because it's our family home. From everyone who comes to the house.
Yeah, yeah.
Everyone loves the house, and that's mum's style, dad's DIY. So mum goes down to Cardiff every Saturday, picks up a wallpaper roll from John Lewis bargain bin, comes home every Saturday afternoon. Dad puts a new roll of wallpaper on the wall, never takes the old one off. The room has shrunk by about 3 inches.
Bonkers.
Every Saturday, what are you doing, Dad? Oh, putting this wallpaper on the chimney breast for Mum again.
Oh, yeah. Painted all.
Painted the hallway.
Out the back.
Out the back. He moans about it, but he loves it. He loves doing it for her. He loves that feeling of going, oh, I've done this for Mum today, and sending the photo into the group chat. Our group chat is called
Dumb and Dumberer.
What's the dumberer?
Take your
Mum.
pick. Yeah. Take your pick. Take your pick.
So it's it's Mum and Dad's house that have kept them in South Wales, but then of course we needed somewhere for them to stay when they came up to look after and to mind the children. So that's when we bought the Armadas.
Yeah, exactly that.
Probably a really bad property move.
Well, I probably in terms of like investments, there'd be better things to invest in, but I think in like the history and the sentiment behind it, I don't think I'd ever be able to sell it.
So it's like 1500s.
Yeah, and 1500s it was built, and it's still got the peepholes, isn't it?
Yeah, from the priest. It's got the sword markings from. It's like built out of, or sources say it's built out of the wreckage of the Spanish Armada.
I think it was the Spanish Armada was 1600s, but I think it's 1500s. But I think that the woodwork added to the building, the structural of it over the years
and it's
to
an
keep
absolute stunning property.
Yeah.
But when we bought it, not one window shut.
No, it goes uphill.
It's like that.
Yeah.
It does. It's
Yeah.
a house that goes uphill.
Yeah.
It's drafty. The heating's shot, but it's stunning.
But it's stunning. It's like the sentiment behind it.
Mum and Dad bought that. No, so we bought that for Mum and Dad with the money you were going to use for the restaurant. And we knew we just wanted to put it into some property, but we never really knew how we were going to pay for it.
No.
Dad was still working at that time, so he said any shortfall, the mortgage was only, £450. Any shortfall, but the shortfall, the mortgage, I'll pay for it. And in fact, it worked out cheaper to pay for the house and the mortgage and the bills for that property than it would have been to put the girls into full-time childcare. So, yeah, we bought it. We bit the bullet and we just bought it. And then it was my idea. I'd seen some Airbnb ads to have a go at just chucking on Airbnb.
Yeah, I know.
We had no idea about the magnitude of the website.
I know. I don't think it was never about the money, was it? It was just because of our situation with Mum only being there 3 days a week or whatever. And we were like, what are we going to do with this?
Yeah, it was literally like that.
Yeah.
And I remember our first guest walking in, right? And we went up there to check. We stood on the high street just to see if we could see them through the window because we didn't know sort of how they were going to be or where they were going to be. And then we stood on the back and we took pictures of their registration plate because, you know, and here we are, like thousands and thousands of guests later. But I remember the first one, I remember how nervous I was that we'd let them.
Let people in our house, like.
And on exit, they said, lovely property, but felt like I was walking into somebody's house because Mum had put pictures of like the family.
Yeah, Lois.
Lois was up. Our great Nana Marine was on the wall.
Yeah. But that's the thing. You learn from your reviews, don't you?
Yeah.
And you have to be able to, when you get, you haven't got toothbrushes. Okay, so I put toothbrushes in the property. These little things that are picked up on reviews, you have to sort of add.
And we do.
Yeah. And we still do now. We still do now. We're still learning now.
Like, what are we doing straight after this? Going to fit a lock on a cupboard because the cleaning stuff is in there. We don't want children to be accessing it from a review. And everything the guests tell us, we literally respond to within a couple of days.
Take it professionally, not personally.
Yeah. I do wish, though, guests would understand the impact of their bad reviews.
Yeah.
We had a 1 star the other day because there was dirt on the bottom of an iron.
Yeah, I know. And it's not fair, is it? Like,
and I don't feel like that's fair. And I did report it to Airbnb and they said that's their experience. 1 star because the iron was dirty.
I know. But it's a balance of probability, isn't it? It's like life. Every 1,000 people that are born, you're going to get 5 dickheads.
Yeah.
Or you're going to get 1 nut job. It's just that's how the universe works.
Is that like a research-based statistic?
Well, on the balance of probability, if you throw a fucking stone at a bucket 100 times, one of them's going to go in. I mean, you can't, when you're dealing with so many people and so much traffic,
and most people are like gorgeous and lovely and really appreciative and, don't care. But then some people we just cannot please.
No.
So from the Armadas then, we must have been going for a couple of years. And like you said, didn't even really realise what sort of foundations we were building at that point. It was just me messaging.
Yeah. And then I think we had a little sit down and I can remember you ringing me up and going, right, I'm ready now. I want to start building my property empire. Still remember the call. But then it was your intuition. You, right, we'll add a loft to ours. We'll put the value up and then we'll refinance that. And then, I suppose it was just being a little bit savvy from that point. Again, though, going refinancing that property then. And then buying Penn's Lane. And then we all chipped in for Penn's Lane for the refurb to try and make that work. But looking back, that was a shocking deal.
We bought that for 205 and the value today is around about 260. We've had it since 2019.
Yeah, we should have probably bridged off that, remortgaged and bought somewhere else though. I think when you're uneducated and you don't really know, I think it's natural to want to just invest in your...
We absolutely steamrolled into properties.
Yeah, but it's natural to want to invest close to home. I think you probably bought Penn's Lane because it was around the corner. It was easy to keep an eye on.
Yeah, we had the garage as well on the back of our house, remember, because of that.
Yeah.
We lost the best part of 100 grand by investing in Norton Road.
Yeah, that was...
shocking.
Absolutely. But that just goes back to... we bang on about it all the time. Property, you need to be working with the right people. And
we weren't.
Yeah, to anybody who's got a sort of bit of capital behind them who wants to work in property, I can't stress this enough. Do your due diligence.
Because what we had this massive pot of money, and the best time to invest in property is always yesterday.
Yeah.
So we bought a house that wasn't below market value, was spot on market value, that wasn't particularly nice, and we added a loft extension to it.
We added a loft extension, and the reason we added the loft extension is because the builder told us to.
Yeah. Who actually owns no houses.
Yeah. We didn't know what a comparable was.
No.
We hadn't got a clue. We actually said that this is what it would be worth after when it was about 40 grand.
Way off.
Yeah.
We were completely way off.
But and like I said, this is why we off.
Imagine if we had 100 grand now.
Yeah, I know. We'd be able to...
We'd be millionaires by next year.
Yeah, I know. But and like I say, it goes back. You have to get educated first, and this is why we offer sort of the earn and learn scheme now. And some people say, 10%, it's not that much of a return. It's not just about the returns. It's about you and how good would that have been with 100 grand? We could have
Oh.
invested that into somebody's business who would have said, right, I'll not only give you 10% returns over the next year, but I will teach you everything about property. I will give you a full mentorship, weekly check-ins. I'll teach you from all the mistakes that I've made. And then in a year's time, I'll give you all your money back. I'll give you 10% on top, and I'll say, go and do it yourself.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we needed, wasn't it?
That was exactly what we needed.
We needed somebody to put their arm around us, somebody trustworthy, someone reliable.
Yeah.
To show us how to invest in a complete new strategy. And
that would have been invaluable. That would have changed our lives.
That would have changed everything, but we didn't. We spent all our money and then got educated.
Yeah, which was really, really daft.
It was really, really stupid.
So what we're saying now to people is, like, don't make those huge mistakes. And it's a case of, you don't need to make those massive mistakes. You don't need to lose as much money as we did, because we've already done that for you.
Yeah, we've already done that for you, and we can put our arms around you and help you with whatever strategy it is that you could be interested in. So,
but from doing that project, we were able to pull, 45 out?
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean it's a decent asset. Don't get me wrong. Like it's the thing is with property, it's hard to lose money
over the long term. If
you just tie your money up, don't you?
Yeah.
You just tie, and that's what Norton Road has done. It's tied capital up in bad deals, but we've not necessarily lost money. It's a £350,000 asset, which is not a bad thing to have your money in, but we could have probably had double that in terms of assets if we'd had that 100 grand now, because we didn't know how to spend it better. Do you know
exactly.
what I mean? Doing flips and BRRs where the numbers actually made sense. But
what's exciting now is we got this next project going through in South Wales.
Yeah. But and again, we're working with the right people.
We are working with phenomenal people down in South Wales, Ryan and the building team down there.
Yeah.
And we know exactly what not to do.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, would you look what Ryan's doing? Like I say, he could lead me blind down a garden path with all this stuff, and I trust him. Again, because we know him, we've built a relationship up with him. He's got a proven track record, and yeah, I mean, I suppose this is when a lot of investors come to us for an end-to-end service, and it's a nice position to be in when people say, "I'm coming to you because I trust you."
Yeah.
I'm coming to you because you're recommended, and I know I'm in good hands.
Yeah.
And that all stems from doing a good job at the start.
That's how the SA business has grown, because people come to us because they trust us.
And it's nice to be in a position where you don't have to do the hard sale. Do you know what I mean? Where you don't have to be pushy and do the hard sale. You present what you present. You show your track record, and that's it. And the right people gravitate towards you.
No, 100%. It's just gone 10. Are we?
No, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about as well Orchard Court.
Oh yeah. Let's quickly dive into that then. Yeah, Orchard Court.
So do you remember, right? Just to go back a minute to we've just signed property number 40 now, and I feel a lot of people come to us because they've had bad experiences in the past.
Yeah.
So if we take like properties such as, I don't know, Hope Street, so that investor got in touch with us and said, my current management company is not doing a great job. I'm losing money. And to be honest, I think a lot of people have got in touch with us because they've lost money on their SAs.
Yeah.
Bad management. And we've had management before on some of our properties that hasn't gone particularly well. And remember, we walked into Hope Street. And, I mean, it was shocking, wasn't it?
It was terrible.
And there was a chair in the corner with 3 legs.
Yeah. It was fucking booby traps set up everywhere. It was like being in the Vietnamese War in the 60s. You didn't know if something you didn't know if something was going to spring out from behind the door.
You opened the downstairs cupboard and all that graveyard of furniture was in there.
I suppose that's why you have fucking indemnity insurance, isn't it?
Or you just screw the 4th leg on.
Yeah. Outrageous.
I remember sending that picture to Dad, and he said he couldn't breathe because there was a chair in the corner with 3 legs. Couldn't sit on that.
I know. And can you imagine an elderly person walked in
well,
and not
that's the thing, isn't it?
I know, but it's negligence from the management company.
And they don't care.
No, they don't. That's
because
the problem.
I couldn't sit in the house knowing that a family got in there and somebody sat on a chair
I know,
with 3 legs.
But
You can't sleep. I couldn't sleep at night. I'd be straight over there to remove the chair.
No.
And it don't take much, does it, to take out
no,
a
and
chair?
that's the problem. See, there's opportunity and there's room in this space to do well if you just care and you're passionate about it.
And you've got to care. You've got to be able to empathise and put yourself in that position. I know full well when we go away on holiday, my girls, they run straight in and they jump in on everything, respectfully, because they're excited to be there. They would definitely jump on that chair with three legs.
and
they could have really hurt themselves. So when people come to us, it's usually because they've had a bad experience, and there's no reason that people need to have a bad experience in property, because there's enough to go round.
Yeah.
And when you do it well, everyone should win.
Yeah.
Everyone should win in property.
It's that abundance mindset, isn't it? I used to think when we first got involved and we started taking on an SA or two, I thought, we should keep this to ourselves now. We know we got a formula, we should keep this to ourselves. But the best thing that we did was tell everybody and help everybody, be abundant, tell everybody, help everybody, give free mentorship, because then when they've got an opportunity, it comes back around.
It definitely comes back around.
When they need a management company, it comes back around.
Yeah.
When they want to work with you on a BRR project, it comes back around.
Exactly.
It's about having an abundant mindset, and it's about helping and providing as much value as you can for people, because it will always come back around, and I can't stress that enough.
It does.
Do not operate on a scarcity mindset. Help as many people as you can. Drop your gems, because it will come back around.
There is enough property for everyone to be successful,
to do well, and the market and the market is growing. I don't care what anyone says. Oversaturation, but it is a little bit of a myth. Oversaturation, it might be a thing, but there's always going to be room for good operators.
Always
going to be room for people who are passionate and who care. So it's saturated, but it's saturated with mediocrity.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, with poor designed properties.
Poor designed property, 3-legged fucking chairs, booby traps.
Vietnam War.
Yeah, holes in the wall. So.
Oh, and exactly that. So there's lots of opportunity to earn money through SA when it's done well. But it's not a quick win.
No.
You're not going to be a millionaire overnight investing in SA.
So, well, I can remember when I obviously did the sourcing full time. It's 7 months. I can remember I hated dealing with agents. I even though I would call them every day, I couldn't stand dealing with them. And I can remember, obviously, with Andy and Emma as well, you found them properties on Facebook. But it took about 6 months to find a little strategy that sort of worked for
it did.
For us.
That was Mum.
Yeah. Mum come up with the idea. Right, we need to. Because I'd be on the phone to agents all day and I wouldn't have any luck, and I ended up lying to agents. I was like, I'm moving to Birmingham for 6 months. I want it on this. So this is the terms I want. But it doesn't
make, when you get desperate though, you do find yourself in situations where you don't always recognise yourself.
Yeah.
And that's why we're quite lucky that we've never been in a really desperate situation, because we're all still working.
Yeah, of course. Exactly.
And because me and Luke's still teaching, you're still doing your engineering. The business has never been our income, and therefore we've never been desperate for business.
And you see a lot of desperate people.
And that's
the course seller's fault, because they sell in these courses on the pretense of it being passive and you're going to earn 10 grand a month. And then people get excited, and then 6 weeks after their course, the novelty is wearing off a bit, and they're thinking, oh my God, I've just spent my life savings. I've just spent 6 grand or 8 grand or even 10 grand on a course. I've taken out this credit card. I need to sell 2 deals as fast as I can to get that money back, and then they lie. And then they want to make their money back because they've been sold a dream about how easy it is, and they need to pay their credit card off, and they lie, and they try and push bad deals, and it gives the industry a bad name. But it's not their fault. No. Because they go into these courses with the best intentions, but then they realise how hard it actually is. And these people selling courses on these pretenses of it being passive and you're going to earn 10 grand a month, they've got to take some responsibility.
Yeah, they do.
Because it's really, really poor. And that's like we love working with the Fontaines and Sam so much, is because when you sign up to their course, not only is it 400 quid, and they give you that money back, but they tell you from the start, this ain't going to be easy.
No.
This is not going to be easy. It's going to be difficult. So
it's really difficult. And it's really difficult to find the deals. It's really difficult to make sure they're correct, really difficult to sell them, and it's really difficult to keep your integrity and not be desperate all the way through that process.
Yeah, of course, 100%.
Because desperate people do desperate things.
Yeah.
And I'm really, really fortunate that we've never been in a position of desperation.
But I think that comes across with clients then, doesn't it? And when we were working with landlords and stuff like that, when we were scaling the business, we never came across as desperate.
Never.
And I think people can smell that commission breath.
We came across as passionate because we really enjoy doing it.
But never came
we
across
like the design, and we like, taking a property from the first guest to the 100th guest and almost forming a relationship with the property and knowing how to really stretch it to its full potential.
Yeah.
That's the part I like. I like to look back at the history of a property and see how well it's done. I love to look at the future and see what can be achieved because of what it's done. Luke looks sort of from the numbers side. We can look at from the design and the customer service side and really see how far we can push a property. I love the journey, the relationship
and
with
but it comes out, doesn't it? It comes across.
and we turn down business, don't we, as a result of that a lack of desperation.
Like I say, once you're at a certain point where it's like we present it to you, but we're not that arsed, are we?
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? It's not something we're going to cling on to and chase up every other day. And I think
never chased anything up.
No,
I can tell you that now.
No, I know.
I can't think of one deal that we've present the numbers and go, we're here if you need us, but it's okay if you don't.
But a lot of time they do come back, see, though, don't they? A lot of the time.
Why wouldn't they? Look at our track record.
Exactly.
And we're only 10%.
Exactly.
So it would make sense. But then Orchard Court, beautiful old building again. We did the Armadas thing. Dad fell in love with it.
Bought it from emotion, really, rather than from
And it is
logic.
a gorgeous building, 18th century. History behind that is phenomenal. It's got our Mother of Mary carved into the side of the building. Didn't read the lease.
Didn't read the lease, no.
Yeah, so what happened there was we added on and it was booming on the SA market. And then what happened?
Yeah, I can remember it was around Christmas time. I was actually sat in the house and a letter come through saying that we had to shut down.
Yeah.
That they had to shut down the operation. And then, we had to put it on AST. So anybody out there, sources, agents have the first responsibility, sources have the second responsibility, and management companies have the responsibility. Make sure that you're reading leases before you're signing any agreements, because it's investors who will lose their money.
Yeah, and so we had to take that off, and it's now on an AST, which is still earning.
Yeah, but it's not as lucrative, and it's not what it was bought for. But
yeah, all right, I think we've covered everything.
Yeah, to be honest, I think we could have done with another hour.